Looking for a job in higher education institution on the African continent? There is no need to go looking. The Africa Education Jobs Board will deliver available jobs to you via our platform. To start your search, visit our website. On our website, you will find variety of job postings classified by the sectors and professions they belong to. There are sections devoted to variety of career-related materials as well as information on African countries. All information you require based on the job description and requirements are accessible on the site. If you are looking for a job in higher education on the continent, use our dedicated portal www.africa.edujobs.com. For job market updates, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AF Jobs Board.
Cherchez-vous un emploi dans les établissements d'enseignement supérieur en Afrique? Ne cherchez plus loin. African Education Jobs Board vous fournira des emplois disponibles via sa plateforme. Sur notre plateforme, vous trouverez une variété d'offres d'emploi classées par secteur et profession. Des sections sont aussi disponibles pour des informations sur les carrières ainsi que sur les pays africains. Toutes les informations dont vous aurez besoin en fonction des descriptions et d'exigences du poste sont accessibles sur le site. Si vous recherchez un emploi dans l'enseignement supérieur sur le continent, visitez notre portail dédié www.africa.edujobs.com. Pour des mises à jour sur le marché de l'emploi, vous pouvez également nous suivre sur Twitter et Instagram à AFJobsBoard.
Good morning, good afternoon to our dear participants, wherever you are connecting from. You are welcome to the 4th edition of the Jobs Board Enhancing Human Capital webinar. You can introduce yourself in the chat box. You put your name and where you are connecting from. You are all welcome. You can please type your name in the chat section and then you tell us where you are joining from.
I'm joining you from Spiritual University, Nigeria.
You are welcome, sir.
James Nkata from Uganda Management Institute, Uganda.
Thank you very much, sir. You're welcome to the 4th edition of the Jobs Board Enhancing Human Capital webinar. We are going to discuss emerging HR technologies, best practices, and their impact on academia and corporate institutions. We hope you will all benefit from this webinar today.
Comfort, good morning from Lagos. My name is Tola Olujo from Lagos State University of Education in Lagos.
Thank you very much, and you are welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Professor Joseph Namdemojeku from University of Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is James Gomez from the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, the Gambia.
You are welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Joko Jemilat Olaririn, Akuba University, Oyo Town in Oyo State.
You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are all welcome once again. I see Nana Kojo. Welcome to the 4th edition of the Jobs Board Enhancing Human Capital webinar. I see Prince. Prince, you are welcome. Professor Joseph, you are welcome. I see another Prince Donald, you are welcome. We welcome you all once again to the 4th edition of the Jobs Board Enhancing Human Capital webinar. So before we take an intro from the HR of the Association of African Universities, we'll play the Jobs Board video once again, and then we take a welcome address from the HR manager of the Association of African Universities. Thank you all and stay connected.
Looking for a job in higher education institution on the African continent? There is no need to go looking. The Africa Education Jobs Board will deliver available jobs to you via our platform. To start your search, visit our website. On our website, you will find variety of job postings classified by the sectors and professions they belong to. There are sections devoted to variety of career-related materials as well as information on African countries. All information you require based on the job description and requirements are accessible on the site. If you are looking for a job in higher education on the continent, use our dedicated portal www.africa.edujobs.com. For job market updates, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AFJobsBoard.
Cherchez-vous un emploi dans les établissements d'enseignement supérieur en Afrique? Ne cherchez plus loin. African Education Jobs Board vous fournira des emplois disponibles via sa plateforme. Sur notre plateforme, vous trouverez une variété d'offres d'emploi classées par secteur et profession. Des sections sont aussi disponibles pour des informations sur les carrières ainsi que sur les pays africains. Toutes les informations dont vous aurez besoin en fonction des descriptions et d'exigences du poste sont accessibles sur le site. Si vous recherchez un emploi dans l'enseignement supérieur sur le continent, visitez notre portail dédié www.africa.edujobs.com. Pour des mises à jour sur le marché de l'emploi, vous pouvez également nous suivre sur Twitter et Instagram à AFJobsBoard.
Okay, so we proceed from here. You are all welcome once again. Those who just connected, you are welcome once again to the 4th edition of the Jobs Board Enhancing Human Capital webinar. If we have our HR of the Association of African Universities connected, we would like to invite her to give us a welcome address. So if we have Madam Yvette Kwashi connected, the HR manager of the Association of African Universities, please take the platform. Thank you very much.
Distinguished stakeholders from Africa's higher education sector and beyond, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, I welcome you all to the 4th edition of the Jobs Board Enhancing Human Capital webinar. I am Yvette Kwashi, the Human Resource Manager of the Association of African Universities. As HR practitioners, we know how essential it is to adopt the use of technology in today's world, and we can all attest to the fact that investment and effective utilization of technological tools enhance accuracy and efficiency of processes, resulting in optimum organizational productivity. For participants connected here who are not human resource officers, this webinar is still relevant for you to learn about the various tools and best practices which are important in this space and which can guide you at your own institutional and personal levels. Today's platform is very critical as we will be having the opportunity to discuss the theme for this event, which is emerging HR technologies, best practices, and their impact in academia and corporate institutions. Beyond exploring and identifying the best technological practices which are essential for HR processes and management, we will also collectively be widening our knowledge base, advancing our skill sets, and contributing to this important discussion for the betterment of higher education and other sectors of our national and regional economies. Ultimately, this edition of the webinar series will be equipping us, HR managers and practitioners across the African continent, with vital information on how to adopt technological practices for effective and smooth HR management processes in our various institutions, On behalf of the Jobs Board team and on behalf of the implementing partners, the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities, Education Sub-Saharan Africa and Warwick Employment Group, I once again welcome you all to the 4th edition of the Jobs Board Enhancing Human Capital Welcome. We appreciate your time with us and look forward to an interactive session with active participation from all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Yvette Kwashi, for such a nice introduction. Thank you very much. And those of you joining the Jobs Board webinar, I welcome you once again. The Jobs Board is a program which we run here in the Association of African University. It's a platform where we advertise vacancies in higher educational institutions. So if you have any vacancy in your institution, you can forward them to us. We will send our email in the chat section briefly. That's africanjobsboard@aau.org, and then we can help you advertise your vacancy. So we will briefly take an advert by the Jobs Board team, and then we introduce our guest or our resource person for the day. Thank you all, and please stay connected.
Looking for a job in higher education institution on the African continent? There is no need to go looking. The Africa Education Jobs Board will deliver available jobs to you via our platform. To start your search, visit our website. On our website, you will find variety of job postings classified by the sectors and professions they belong to. There are sections devoted to variety of career-related materials, as well as information on African countries. All information you require based on the job description and requirements are accessible on the site. If you are looking for a job in higher education on the continent, use our dedicated portal www.africa.edujobs.com. For job market updates, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AFJobsBoard.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for staying connected. I see Simon. Simon, you are welcome to the 4th edition of the Jobs Board Enhancing Human Capital webinar. I see James. I see Dr. Manjo. You are welcome. Okay, so now we want to invite our resource person, our first resource person. Okay, as we can all see on the screen, our resource person, his name is Mr. Cleopas Disam, Recruitment Selection and BI Specialist, Modpec Production Service, Ghana. Cleopas began his career in the recruiting and staffing industry over 10 years ago. Along with his dedication and commitment to excellence, he quickly understands the needs of his clients and candidates. With a consultative approach, he attracts top talent and professionals for both permanent and consultant positions. He prides himself on his in-depth interview process, which enabled him to specialize in all specialties of recruitment process and provided the appropriate candidate to fill the client's requirement. It is a singular honor to welcome our resource person for today, Mr. Cleopas Disam. Mr. Cleopas, if you can hear me, please take the floor and proceed with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Good morning to everyone from Ghana. Good morning to my colleagues in Dubai, in India, in Nigeria, and across the world. Comfort, can you let me know if I can share my screen briefly so we can start a presentation?
Yes, please, you can share your screen.
Right. So basically, let's just imagine, right, for a moment that we are all time travelers from the future. And in the future, let's talk about 30 years from now or 20 years from now, where technology has taken over almost every aspect of our lives. But we've traveled back into time to witness the greatest and the latest technological advancements that will shape the future in the next 20, 30, or even 15 years. You'd have heard phrases such as AI, machine learning, cloud computing, and other weird terminologies being bangled around. These are technologies
Mr.
that have been,
Cleopas, please, we
yes?
can't
Hello?
see your screen.
Oh, I thought you could.
I don't know if you are sharing. We can't see it.
I am sharing my screen. Share. Can you see this?
Okay, we can see now.
All right. So let me just go back to sharing the screen. Please let me know if you can see it.
Okay, we can see now. Emerging HR technologies.
Fantastic.
Yes,
all right.
please. Thank you
So
very
just
much.
as I was saying that, you would have heard terms like AI, machine learning, cloud computing, blockchain, and other terminologies being bangled around now. These are technologies that have been introduced and are still being introduced to our work life or the way we work. And these technologies have come in a way to streamline our operations and also to automate things that ideally you need to crack your head to do. About 3-4 weeks ago, someone introduced me to ChatGPT, and I realized that very soon we may not even have to employ people to do certain works or certain tasks in organizations. AI or HR technologies has also come to offer a way where employees or students can engage HR in a way to ensure that their needs are taken care of. Now, on the academic front today, AI has integrated into almost everything we do, from targeting students to recruiting them. Some of us are on various platforms or we've enrolled in schools to do one program or the other, and we are all using virtual classrooms. COVID introduced the virtual classroom to us where we use Zoom, we use Microsoft Teams and other platforms just to ensure that our lives didn't come to a halt. And today, our session is also on Zoom. Ideally, a time would have come, or a time in the past, would be sitting in a conference room by now, all packed up, where the AC may not be working, but we'll all be sitting down, still expecting a facilitator to speak to us. So on the academia front, faculties and student information have been streamlined by AI. AI is driving universities to quickly and accurately identify best candidates. A couple of years back, I was approached by a school in the United Kingdom on LinkedIn, and everything was via email and an AI tool they introduced, and I enrolled. And I'm sure a lot of us have been approached by such institutions. Chat boxes have also been introduced where students can easily, quickly get in touch with the registry to have issues addressed. You realize that when you visit some school sites or some university sites, immediately you log onto the page, a chat box pops up to ask, "Hi, my name is so and so. How may I help you today?" That is how technology is changing the way we work, the way we go back to school, and everything about our lives. In a corporate front, HR technologies are giving organizations the ability to track employee performance. I work for an oil and gas company here in Ghana, and we have a system called Saba. Well, Saba has been designed for my company, so it's customized, where employees' performance are tracked from the beginning of the year through the middle to the end of the year. And everything has been workflowed from the employer or the employee through to the manager, to upper management, and everyone sees what you are doing. AI is also helping employees engage and helping understand their employees. Employers engage employees to understand their needs. So these are some of the ways that technology has been helping. Our fathers and our mothers' generations are now getting to have an understanding of how this is being done. And I'll talk about that a bit later, how we can upskill the generation of today to ensure that they can also benefit from these technologies as and when they come up. Now, AI has impacted our work, our corporate life. This is what my next slide is talking about. Technologies and enabling HR to easily attract and retain talent. I am the recruitment and selection specialist here in my company, and I use technology to attract the best talent across the world. We recruit people from various countries, from India, from Ukraine, from Russia, from the United Kingdom, and we have a multicultural and diverse population. And we could have only achieved this with AI. And I want to believe that my colleague recruiters and senior HR colleagues on the platform would easily understand what I'm talking about. AI is also allowing us to onboard employees in an easily and efficient manner. Back then, when everything was paper-based, you realize that things could be missing in the process. However, and I will use my company as an example, we have a system that has enabled or is enabling us to onboard or to go through the entire recruitment cycle with new hires, from advert placing through selection, through sourcing of the CVs, through shortlisting, to interviewing, to making offers, so when the person sits at the desk. AI has helped us to do that. And it is also helping us track and engage employees, because back then you need to get up and come to the HR departments, or you need to go to the registry. Few of us in Ghana here understand how daunting a task it is to want to walk to the registry of the University of Ghana, which is all up on the hill, just to have an issue addressed. However, today with V-class or virtual classrooms and virtual platforms, students can engage people at the academic registry to have their issues addressed easily. So this is how HR is using AI tools to transform the way it works. And when I say HR cuts across both corporate and academia. It is helping us recruit. So from sourcing to selection, you visit our website today, you'll have chat boxes popping up where we can address issues on the spot with you. Employee experience, where persons can easily reach out to HR with their concerns. It could be payroll related, it could be recruitment related, it could be virtually anything. If an employee needs counseling, you can reach out through the portals that HR has to get these things addressed. Another one is learning and development. So we have CMS softwares that job descriptions have been loaded onto, that employees can easily go into to have their trainings or training needs met, trainings that are required for them to move to the next stage in their career. Most of us understand, I'm sure some of us here have Netflix accounts, and you realize that they have been designed in such a way that they keep learning the patterns of users. So maybe you like watching comic or comedies, comic videos or skits, things that will make you laugh. Now, the more you log on to Netflix, it tends to understand the pattern or your consumption pattern. And the next time you log on to Netflix, you realize that it has a lot of movies or options in that section for you. And that is what AI is doing. So even you go onto LinkedIn, the more you log on to, say, a project management site or LinkedIn Learning, the more you log on to project management courses, you realize that the next time you log on to LinkedIn Learning, you have a lot of options in project management, or it could be in recruitment, or it could be in any other thing that you are more interested in. And this is how the experience is being transformed. 20 years ago, we didn't have all these options available to us, but now it is. And remember, we are all time travelers. We've already experienced this in 2032. And now we are in 2023 trying to understand how we got to 2032. So let's talk about some of the things you need to consider when implementing HR technologies within your organizations. I worked with some organizations before joining the company I'm working with. And yes, we did use a few HR platforms over there. However, my greater experience in HR technology has been with Modem. And I do talk to some colleagues in other organizations, and unfortunately, some of them have not embraced these technologies to ensure that their work is more efficient. You don't spend so much time doing paperwork. So this is what I usually tell them. For you to implement any form of HR platform or any technology within your organization, you first need to assess your current needs. You need to access your current needs. Technology has become very expensive. Companies are using million-dollar technologies just to ensure that work is done and done efficiently. They do not come cheap. We are talking about $2 million, $3 million softwares that you'd have to buy and then be paying for every year. So you need to assess what you currently have before you identify the suitable solutions. Now, mind you, there are a lot of applications out there, millions of them. Everyone will come with, I can offer you this, I can offer you that. A couple of years back, we tried to engage SAP, Oracle within our organization. But we realized that being a global company, because we have offices across the world in Singapore, in Tokyo, in Brazil, in Vietnam, in China, in New Zealand, in Australia, Senegal, all across, even in Mexico. And for you to look for a solution that will fit your purpose, you need to ensure that it will fit the current technologies you have. Else you end up spending a lot of money just to merge it. So you need to identify the most suitable solution that will work for you. This suitable solution must integrate into your current organizational needs or integrate into your current technology you have. Else you end up spending thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to get a system that will not speak to any other system you have. Currently, we have about 30 applications that we use within our organization, and these 30 applications do various things. But because of how we streamline identifying these solutions, all these 30 systems tend to speak to each other. And we do face some challenges here and there, but at the end of the day, majority of them are speaking to each other. Now, the next thing to do is to design the system that will speak to each other. Remember, you need to do a lot of consulting. You need to talk to your IT or your systems people. You need to engage management because they are the ones going to sign the check at the end of the day. For you to have a successful implementation of technology, you need to have a well-defined plan. Else, you end up having something that you would have spent a lot of money on. We have had that experience before where we had some technologies that we could not use. However, during the demo phase, everybody had thumbs up. This is the best technology, only for it to come and we realized that it wasn't what we needed at all. And we had to discard it, having paid a lot of money for it. So you need to ensure that you engage all stakeholders and understand the goals of the organization, where you want to go with this new technology before you implement it. There are certain limitations to implementing new technologies within the organization. One, I've spoken about this a lot of time, it is costs. Cost. It is expensive. People have put together, they put together ideas that they believe the organization can benefit from. So you pay a lot for it. Now, you also need persons who are skilled to operate these technologies. And I'll talk about that a bit later, which is upskilling. You need people who are skilled to operate these technologies. And remember that these technologies are not always reliable. You may not have a technology that will speak 100% to all your needs. But as much as possible, try and get one that speaks to as many as possible, right? So someone would ask, what skills are required for the future? We have just come from the future. We already have the skills. What would you tell someone you are meeting today? Obviously, we can't tell them we are time travelers, else they'll tell us we are weirdos. So what do we say? One, people analytics. It is a new thing. You need to understand that people must have, or people must be able to multitask. And people analytics is an important skill to have. I'm sure everyone would have, some people here would have heard of predictive analysis or predictive attrition. This is you putting together data from the past and data from the present to know whether people are going to leave your organization or not. So this can be handled through people analytics. Another way to upskill people is to get them to go into some basic coding. Academia today is changing. However, our traditional universities, unfortunately, are not changing. You still go to schools where they are learning Socrates and Plato. I'm not saying they are bad, they are very good because it gives you a way of analyzing arguments and how to analyze things that come in front of you. However, we will need academia to redesign courses that will suit today's market. Because students are coming out of the universities. We have interns coming through every year because in Ghana here, we have something we call national service, and I know it's the same in Nigeria, where students spend 1 year serving the nation through corporate institutions. Now, one thing I always look out for when I'm recruiting NSPs is, aside what you studied in psychology or philosophy or social science, the social sciences, or what you studied in the business administration, what else can you add? Do you know some form of coding? And in HR, we looked out for someone who understood a bit about computing, someone who can manage even our intranet. So these are the things that we need academia to help the corporate world with. And I'm so glad that we have a lot of professors and doctors on the call. And I believe that this is not the first time you are hearing these corporates asking you guys to help us with this, because we need people with the right skill and the right attitude, of course, to learn. who would be joining our organizations, because we wouldn't want a one-dimensional person, but we need a three-dimensional person. Someone who says, I'm a psychologist, or I studied human resource, and the person can also code. Because now there are a lot of systems that have been introduced that you need someone at the back end to work on, someone who can meet the needs of the students, someone who can meet the need of employees, someone who will be there to listen and give at least answers to issues that come up for employees. So in conclusion, I'll say that if you've decided to introduce or implement a new system, congratulations. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are having that conversation within your organizations. Now, these new technologies, trust me, take it from someone who is using it on a daily basis, will make your organization more effective and more productive. But if people within your organizations don't use these technologies, you'd have just thrown thousands of dollars away. So you need to ensure that you upskill them. When these new technologies are introduced within your organizations, kindly ensure that a lot of training and retraining goes on. If you're paying thousands of dollars to a consultant to introduce this technology to you, ensure that the consultant comes in, even if it's half a year or twice a year, to take employees through the use of these technologies, because we get so busy at times that we tend to forget that this technology has this feature, or this software has that feature, and we'll be crying for new features or new systems to be added. However, the current one we have already has it. So my advice for all time travelers, let's advise our academia, let's advise our CEOs, our managers, those who sign the checks, that technology would improve the way we work. It would save us a lot of time. It will save us a lot of paper. And for my brothers and sisters who are environmentalists, we will know more later with paper, because technology will save us from that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cleo. That was very informative. Technology will save us a lot of time. Technology will save us a lot of paper. And so we are all encouraged to adapt best technologies in recent times to help improve our HR management. Please, if you have any questions, kindly put them down. We will address them later. We want to give the opportunity to our next resource person to make her presentation briefly, and then Mr. Cleopas, and then Madam Victoria, who is our next resource person, they will address all your questions. So please, if you have any questions, note them down and we'll address them briefly. Thank you very much. So it is a pleasure to welcome our next resource person to make her presentation. And she is Madam Victoria Owusu-Mensah, the acting HR manager of Virtual InfoSec Africa Group. It's a cybersecurity company in Ghana, a very strong one, of course. So Victoria Owusu-Mensah, adequately called Vicky Omes, is an exceptional career service specialist and HR professional with more than 6 years of experience in career and life coaching, a seasoned motivational speaker who has occupied several leadership roles over the years with the purpose of helping others to find their best fit aspiration and jobs by working within the intricacies of people's management. She is currently the acting HR manager for Virtual InfoSec Africa Group, a cybersecurity company. It is my pleasure to welcome Madam Victoria Owusu-Mensah to take the platform. Madam Victoria, please, if you can hear me, you can proceed with your presentation. And thank you once again, Mr. Cleopas. That was very informative.
Hi, good morning to everyone across the world. Good morning to us all. Thank you, AAU for giving me this opportunity. I do and take this opportunity highly important, because at the end of the day, it's a platform where millions of people learn. So thank you once again, and thank you to the team that put all this together. Thank you, Cleo. Your presentation was a good one, highly informative. Thank you. Comfort, please, can I share my screen?
Yes, please, you can. You can share your screen.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I happen to find myself working in a cybersecurity company. And just yesterday, we launched a product. I would say that we partnered with one of the biggest cybersecurity companies in the world, which is Logarithm. And in all, I would say that it's technology driven, all right? So imagine HR technologies, best practices, and its impact on academia and corporate institution is very, very, very important. It's very, very important, because as the day goes by, the years goes by, things are changing. Technology is gradually taking over the world. So I will narrow it more on the HR professionals or those in the HR field, because my colleague Cleo did justice to the academia side of our presentation this morning. So technology has really changed the way businesses operate, especially in the field of human resources, or the human resource is no exception. Advancement in technology have made it possible for HR departments to streamline HR processes, manage employee information, and efficiently enhance the overall employee experience. So I would say that by leveraging technology, HR departments can now create a more productive and an engaging workplace for employees. And this will lead automatically to improved satisfaction, retention, and ultimately the success of the organization. So technology has come to play a very big role in the HR sector, or let me put it that way. So the best approaches in identifying and adopting HR technological tools, one will ask, what are the best approaches? What can we do to identify the need for us to use HR technological tools in our daily activities as HR professionals? As I said earlier, I'm really buttressing more on the HR professionals, because Cleo did justice to the academia. All right. So what do we identify? Is there a need for technological tools to be used? So the first thing we look at is to conduct an HR audit or survey. The need, that is what will help you to know actually the need. So by conducting an HR audit or survey, one will ask, what is it? So an HR audit is an internal process to assess how effective the department is, okay? It helps HR managers to identify areas of struggles in the department and then the best solutions that can be applied. All right, so it is also done to discover ways to improve competencies and functional efficiency of HR systems put in place. So when we do an audit, it helps us, it gives us advanced knowledge on even which technological tool to adapt, to use to solve an immediate problem in our departments as HRs. All right, the basic area of HR functions to audit includes HR planning, talent acquisition, which is selection and recruitment, selection and recruitment, performance appraisal, learning and development, health and safety, compensation, benefits, succession planning, and employee engagement. All right, it also helps in policy formation and rewards and then recognition. So technology helps us as HRs to actually understand the need and what the department will need to become successful, to run our activities successfully. So technology has really come to help us, and I will encourage, especially myself, I work in a cybersecurity environment, and we work with technology a lot. Most of the things we do are highly technologically inclined. So imagine a cybersecurity company not having any platform to operate on. We have a large number of employees. How are we going to keep their records? We have moved from the paper system to the paperless system, where everything is done online, everything is done via online, let me put it that way. So how do we adapt the technological tools? As I said earlier, by conducting an HR audit, it also helps you to identify the particular technological tool to use and adapt to make work seamless. The effectiveness and the efficiency of HR technological tools in academia and corporate institutions has considerably increased. So please, those in the academia who are studying human resource management in school, start embracing yourself with some of this, start doing your research, start learning, start finding out the best technological tools HRs are using today, because times are changing and technology is gradually, I would say it has 85% taken over the world. All right. So please, let's look at this. So some few cutting edge HR technology that we use. I'm happy that Cleo spoke about artificial intelligence and then machine learning. You know, AI powered HR applications can automate processes like candidate screening, all right, performance appraisal, I said it earlier, and compensation analysis. This has made work very easy. Initially, you will find a lot of repetitions of many jobs that can, like, for instance, let's say you are doing recruitment for a large number of people. All right, sometimes some names can appear twice, but if you have a technological tool assisting you, like what I just said, the IA powered HR application system, it helps you. It prevents that repetition of names from occurring. So here I have it here that the repetition of jobs can be erased by the IA as an HR technological tool. An example is the robotic software known as the robotic process automation, put it short as RPA, which reveals or relieves employee from tedious busy work to enable them to perform more meaningful and interesting tasks. Okay, one of the example of the function of the IA is also CV screening and sourcing. I mean, the IA tool software can select a top tier candidates from a large candidate pool of, employees or people applying for a job, and then comparing CVs to job requirements, and then also notifying candidates, scheduling interviews, sending, rejection letter. Technology has made this very easy. HR softwares have made this very easy. The cleverness of IA tools in HR enables complex decision making whilst streamlining processes. For instance, onboarding, a perfect example, where AI in HR can make the process very easy. You know, each employee, depending on their department and roles, may have different credentials and different forms they need to fill out. Okay, so by using the RPA system, it makes it very easy. You finish the work immediately, and it has overall made work very easy and effortless. All right, so we don't have any excuse as HRs to say that I had to do this, I had to do that, so I couldn't finish the task. We have the robotic system in place to help you finish a task that manually you would have finished within maybe 3 hours. We have the IA or the robotic system can make you finish it with working on payroll, very easy. Performance management, example, performance appraisal. This, especially the HRMS, it has made it very, very easy. So HR teams can now make data-driven decisions by utilizing big data and analytic I want to choose the word right, you know. It has made it very easy and insightful for employees to work, to achieve, for HRs, let me put it that way, to achieve their set goals and targets in the line of their work. All right. Another one, Cleo spoke about the cloud-based HR system. You know, the cloud-based HR system is also enables organizations to quickly and securely store employee data and access it from any location. The cloud is a very, Cleo spoke about this, the cloud is a very big system that helps us because we work with, employee data, and all that. So the cloud makes it very easy. The cloud-based providers like the Google or Microsoft offers a large service for companies, okay? Companies can pick and choose from any part of the world with this system put in place. It has really helped to make our work very, very, very easy as HR professionals. So please take note, those who are in the academia, please take note of this. You need these technological tools to achieve your goals and to be effective HR practitioners or managers. So please, whilst you are in school, it's a great opportunity for you to learn so that you will not find yourself wanting in the job market. All right. So effective ways of implementing the HR technological tools. Cleo spoke a lot about this, so I'll just brush us through it, okay? So implementing technological tools effectively can help a significant, or can have a significant impact on the productivity, efficiency, and profitability of an organization. Here are some effective ways to implement technological tools. All right, so you have to clearly define the problem. I spoke earlier about conducting an audit or survey. So before implementing any technological tool, okay, it is essential to identify the problem that the tool is supposed to solve. You can't just take any or buy any HR software. You should identify a problem after you have done your auditing, you know that, okay, so I need a system that can make working on payroll very easy. So let me get this particular software to make it very easy for me. All right. So before implementing any technological tool, it is essential to identify the problem that the tool is supposed to solve. Okay, by understanding the specific problem, as I just said, you can choose the most appropriate technology to address the problem with. All right. Another point is to plan the implementation. After you have identified that this is the plan, maybe I need Orange HRM. All right, Orange HRM would help. It has a leave planner on it. It has a payroll on it. It has, how am I going to implement it? How am I going to transfer data and all that on it? So once you have identified the problem, the next step is to plan the implementation of the technology. All right, this includes setting goals. So how are we going to do it? You sit down, you plan, you set your goals. Creating timelines. You create timelines. Okay, so we are supposed to get it by the close of maybe next month or by the close of this year. Okay, so we have given ourselves 60 days to achieve this goal or plan. I mean, this is very important. Those in the academia, please take note of this point, okay? And those of us also on the job, on the field practicing, let's take note of this. I mean, those who don't work with or those who don't use these technological tools. I mean, after this conference or after this Zoom meeting, you can, I mean, sit down and then plan, put things together. There's a need. It's very important you adapt or use an HR technology to achieve your goals. This includes setting goals, creating timelines, identifying stakeholders, and developing a budget. Some of them are very expensive. Like the Orange HRM like this, I mean, $300 is not expensive, but I mean, for a startup, it will be expensive because maybe they can't afford it. You know, we have $500, we have $1,000, we have $2,000. It depends on the features you want to work with. Okay, so please, let's take note of this. All right. The next thing is you must have a discussion with management or stakeholders. As an HR, you just don't take a decision. I mean, then I would want to bring in this technology, not only centered on the HR department or the HR field. I believe strongly that every department, accounting, sales, marketing, every department in the modern day Ghana, well, not everybody, but most people use these platforms, use this technology to advance their business, to make work very easy, comfortable. So you see someone in Ghana, I mean, working with someone in the US, and this has made it possible. But you cannot just take this decision based on your research or your intellect or whatever you have discovered. No, you must have a discussion with management or stakeholders. And this goes to those of us on the field. It is crucial you seek the consent from all stakeholders, including management, employees, of course, employees in the sense that they probably will be using, for instance, let me say the marketing department. I mean, they will be going out to do their sourcing, they will be talking to clients and all that. So you would have to also, after you have spoken to management, you would have to also seek their consent. Talk to them. This is what we want to do. Do you have any idea? What do you think? Maybe someone has an idea that the person would want to share. You know, so you by talking to them, you get to know. And then also customers. So I'll use the banking sectors in this context. I mean, when you go to some of the bank like GCB, they have electronic banking. Sometimes you don't have to join the queue. You just go there and then you insert everything. I think Stanbic also have something like that. You'll be there and then the teller will just call you, take your ID, and then they serve you. All right, so customers are also important in the decision making when it comes to implementing or getting an HR technological tool. Communicate the benefits of the technology or the technological tools and how it will address the problem that needs to be solved. So make sure that whilst you are suggesting to management to get the tool or the technological tool, you also put in place the benefits, all right, of having the technological tool and how it will help you achieve your goal, not only as a department, but as a company at large. All right. Also, by providing training and support. So my fellow HRs who are listening, and those, of course, in the academia, I mean, this will help you in future when you are out of school and you're practicing or you work in the HR sector. It's important, learning and development. Cleo said something, he spoke about learning and development, okay? So you provide training and support. I mean, coming back to the sales and marketing department, as an HR, you say, okay, fine, we have an HR software, apply your leaves on the HR software. Maybe we provide breakfast, lunch. So we are like, you apply maybe on Fridays what you will eat for the week. They would have to do that on the platform. All right, so how are they going to do it? So you make sure that as an HR professional, you teach your people how to use it. Okay, so this is how you apply your leave on the software or on the page. This is how you apply your leave. This is how you apply for maybe your casual leaves and all that. So it's very, very important to provide training and support to employees so that they can effectively use the new technology. And this includes initial training, as I said, and ongoing support. It should be from time to time, and then troubleshooting. So please, let's take notes of this. And then you have to measure the results. All right, you have to measure the results to be able to know how effective the technological tool is. You should be able to measure the result. How has it helped you as an HR manager, as an HR professional? Has it made work easier? Has it made work more comfortable? So measure the results to determine if the technological tool is effective. You need to measure the result, identify the key performance indicators and regularly track and report on them. Okay, because you start with management to decide, and then you make them understand the importance of you getting the technological tool. So after you have gotten the technological tool, has it helped you to achieve your key performance indicators, your JD, your job description, your KPIs? Has it helped you as a department? Has it helped you as a company? We have to take note of this. All right. And then continuous improvement. So technology is constantly evolving. It's essential to continually assess and improve the technology being used. Regularly evaluate the effectiveness of the technology and make adjustments as needed. So not all the softwares have all the features. Some over time, let me use this phone, iPhone. iPhone keeps improving day by day. We used to have iPhone 10. Now we have 14 Pro Max, and it's over the years or in the coming years, it is going to change. So, I mean, this tells us that as the years goes by, technology will continue to advance. Okay, so you research, you find out if there's been continuous improvement after you have assessed it. If maybe there's been a new model, you'd want to maybe purchase maybe a particular feature on the new model added to what you already have to make your work more effective and more easy. You can also do that. So please, let's take note of this. It's very, very important, especially those in the field, those working in the HR field. And also, please, those in the academia, you can take note of this. Very, very important. All right, consider adaptation. When implementing new technology, consider its adaptation. The technology should be able to accommodate the organization's growth and changing needs over time. I mean, your target is probably, maybe you want to work with 1,000 people, maybe it's a factory and you are the HR manager. I mean, 1,000 people and maybe the HR software you are working with can only take 500. It's not going to help you achieve your goal as an HR practitioner. So when implementing new technology, consider its adaptation. All right, consider its adaptation. And then the technology should be able to accommodate the organization's growth and changing needs over time. Ensure data security and privacy. Coming back to the HR, those in the corporate sector, it's essential to ensure data security and privacy when implementing new technology. For instance, I work in a cybersecurity company. We protect organizations' data management, storage systems, and all that from hackers, people being able to hack into their system. So when it comes to what I do, ensuring data security and privacy is highly important. I could have easily done a video so that you see my face, but I can't do it because I have frames with company informations on them where I am seated. So I can't show them. It's another way of ensuring data security because we have a lot of people on the platform. You understand? And maybe someone is just looking and then they see something they are not supposed to see. So you protect, you ensure that the software you are getting, coming back to what I'm saying, or the software you want to work with has a security, has a data security and privacy system that can protect your employees as an HR. It's very important. It's essential to ensure that the data security and privacy when implementing new technology is secured. Make sure that the technology meets regulatory compliance and has the necessary security features to protect the sensitive information of the organization or of the department. We have to take critical note of this. Okay, so my final word or my final words before I bring my presentation to an end is, if we can adapt HR technological tools, we have to be able to know the kind of technological tool we are purchasing, the benefits, the need, how to use it. Training and development comes into play, how we are going to educate our people on how to use it and all that. So imagine HR technologies, best practices and its impact in academia and corporate institutions can be achieved by everything I have said in the above slides. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to have my presentation with you. Thank you. And I'll take the questions and answers. I believe Cleo is on, so we will take your questions and answers. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Victoria Owusu-Mensah, and thank you all our dear participants for staying connected. Personally, I have learned a lot. Your presentations has been very informative. And so now we are going to take some questions from our participants. Please, if you have any questions, kindly put them in the chat session and I will address them. Our resource persons are ready to address our questions. So we have our first question here. Okay, we have our first question. Interesting presentation. Some in relevantly small institutions. Could we still use technology in HR? Are there any open access software available? Mr. Cleo or Madam Victoria, please, any of you can address this question. It says, some in relatively small institution, could we still use technology in HR? Are there any open access software available?
So my answer to that question is yes, there are a lot of open access softwares out there. The question you need to ask yourself is, are you safe enough to use these open softwares or open access softwares? Remember, you're dealing with data, you're dealing with a lot of information you wouldn't want people out there to have access to. Data privacy is key in everything we do. So when you expose yourself or you open yourself to these open access softwares, before you know it, information that ideally should have been kept within your organization is all out there. So my advice to you is, yes, these softwares are expensive, but they come in various packages. You may have to speak to an IT person or a software developer within your company, within your country. There are a lot of them in Ghana. Some of them indigenous IT companies are in Ghana now. And I know same in South Africa, in Nigeria and across the world. So you can leverage on their advice in developing something that will be specific to you. Remember that these softwares that are out there may not necessarily have your country's regulation in mind. It's a general thing that may even contravene what your country rules are. So you need to be very careful with open source or open access sources out there.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cleo. So
All right, so to add up to what Cleo said, it's very important you research, get to know the technological tool you're using or the software you're using. As Cleo said, we have a lot of HRM systems you can use to achieve this. So please research, seek counsel from this IT specialists, people who are IT inclined, and they can help you to know which tool to use. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question here is a two-in-one question, and the person stated, this question is for Cleopas. The person actually stated, are African talents tapped or used to produce the right technology or software in an African context? This may reduce cost. Are African talents tapped or used to produce the right technology or software in an African context?
A lot. In my earlier answer to the first question, I did mention that locally, there are a lot of software companies that are being run or that were set up by indigenous or the indigents. Now, let me speak for Ghana. We have a lot of them in Ghana here that were started by Ghanaians. The back end is handled by Ghanaians and all of that. It tends to drive the cost down. So yes, African talents are used to design these softwares. Remember, Africa is well exposed. I think the notion out there by some people is that Africa is still where it used to be in the 50s or 60s or 70s. No, Africa is well exposed. Africans are designing wild softwares. Let me use the word wild softwares. So yes, we do have Africans who are developing softwares that would meet the needs. One thing you should also bear in mind is regulations. The country you live in, the software you design may not necessarily work in Ghana because the Ghana law is different from the law in Ivory Coast or in Nigeria. So whatever is done must be done with the country's law in mind. It is very, very critical. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cleo.
All right. So to add up to what Cleo said, we have an HR software called the Roster Manager. Okay, it's used for onboarding. Now it is highly private. Okay, highly private and very confidential. I mean, you know, onboarding has to do with people's information and what we share with them, the company's information and all that. So this HR software, which is the Roster Manager, helps us to achieve that. It's highly confidential. All right.
Okay, thank you, Madam Victoria. And then the next question, the person says, this question is for Victoria. Wow. How reliable is an appraisal system based on AI technology in academia or corporate institutions, given the various challenges faced? Example, erratic power supply, cost frequent technology software updates or versions.
Can you take the question again?
Okay, how reliable is an appraisal system based on AI technology in academia and corporate institutions?
Okay, wait there. It's reliable. Its reliability depends on the actual software you want to work with. Please, do you understand the question and the answer?
Yes, please.
On the particular software. So I used myself as an example. I work in a cybersecurity company, and here we don't joke with information. So every software we work with here is highly private based. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, please, you have. Yes, please. Okay, so we'll take our next question.
Okay.
I think we've answered this already. Let me keep scrolling. Okay, the next question. What are some of the onboarding software or tech firms that I can consider for an institution with 300 employees? What are some?
So one of the ones I really know and I have used is the Roster Manage. Okay, it's used for onboarding. And it's also free. So after the presentation, you can check it out on Google, and it's free. So you can go on Google, search for it, and then it will help you a lot. Because I started my research from there. All right. Okay. So the Roster Manage, yeah.
Okay. Please, you can keep putting in your questions.
Comfort, let me just add to this. I'd like to know the country the question is coming from, the one who asked the question regarding the onboarding software. However, okay, you need to bear in mind, or you need to take into consideration these few things, i.e. one, what do you need as an organization? Remember, the softwares are coming in to help you. It's not there to take over someone's job. It's there to help you. It's there to complement what you're currently doing. So you need to identify the gap. Once you identify the gap, you can then find a software that will fill that gap for you. I wouldn't want to mention names, because once I mention names, it means I'm validating one software over another. But the thing is, what has worked for me may not necessarily work for you. So in my presentation earlier, I told you to look at where you currently are and where you want to get to. And once you identify where you want to get to, you then find out what can help you get there. And these are the softwares. And within your country, I promise you this, you'll find a software developer or an applications developer who meets that need for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cleo. We have our next question from Peter. Peter, it says, which issues of cybersecurity are these softwares governed under? Any standard regulations or legal framework? How do they align with security requirements of institutions? Which issues of cybersecurity are these softwares governed under? And are these softwares governed under any standard regulations or legal framework? How do they align with security requirements of institutions?
So, within my company, I'm the data protection supervisor. And so you need to bear in mind that when it comes to data, you need to look at the corporate governance of your company. You need to also look at the country's regulations. So in Ghana, we have the Data Protection Agency, which I just told you I'm the supervisor for my company. And the law goes well to protect every data within every organization that has signed on to them. So these are some of the things you need to look at. The world has changed, and the world has come to an understanding that there are lots of threats out there. Day in, day out, you receive phishing emails, click on this so that I get that, blah, blah. I receive it almost all the time, emails that are supposed to be coming from my direct lead or my manager. But because we've been trained on how to identify phishing emails, you are able to see these ones and work with it so your company is not attacked in the cyberspace.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cleo. This is from Dr. Henry. He says he wished to ask his question through voice. So Dr. Henry, please, if you can hear me, kindly unmute yourself and ask your question. Dr. Henry.
Comfort, before Dr. Henry comes in, you know, with regards to the appraisal, how secure it is. So I would want to answer that question again. Okay. So for instance, you know, some people do performance appraisal based on their feelings. Let me put it that way. Let's say a manager appraising his or her subordinates, you know, can appraise people based on their feelings. But if we have an HR software system that does the appraisal becomes fair, because in this way we can measure it based on the metrics. This is what you have done, okay? And according to the inputs or what you put on the software, it reflects what you have done. You have evidences, so you put it there. So it measures. So when it comes to the metric aspect of performance appraisal, it makes performance appraisal authentic. It makes it genuine, and it makes it fair, free and fair. Aside the privacy aspect that comes with it, as I said earlier. So please, the one who asked that question, I hope I have really addressed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Victoria. Dr. Henry, we are so sorry. Because of our time, we can't unmute you now to ask your question, but you can please put your question in the chat box. We will try and address it before we end. So Dr. Henry, please do that, and it might also cause some interruptions. So we take about 2 or 3 questions, and then we bring this session to an end because our time is almost up. So this question is from Christian. If the technology changes regularly for commercial reasons, how would HR keep up with the funding requirements for upgrade? Any advice to HR?
The question again, Comfort.
Okay, if the technology changes regularly for commercial reasons, how would HR keep up with the funding requirements for upgrade? Any advice? I don't know if the question is clear.
The thing is, before you enter any form of agreement, or before you sign any agreement, you would have read the T's and C's. Softwares are upgraded almost all the time. That is why even on our phone, every day we wake up, you see a new update for a software or an application which is on your phone. It happens. The thing is to understand the T's and C's, and if it's a yearly subscription, that yearly subscription would cover or should cover any form of upgrade, training or retraining. So you need to understand the contracts you are entering into with any application developer or any software developer, and ensure that it falls within your budget. Obviously, I would always advise that you go into the sort of agreements that the first 3 years, whatever you've paid should cover for the first 3 years. And then subsequently, you'll be paying annual subscriptions, and all the maintenance work, the upgrades, the training and the retraining will fall within that annual subscription. If you own the software, which means that obviously you have someone in-house who will be doing the catch clearance, the debunking, and ensuring that troubleshooting are done periodically. With that one, the person is already on payroll, so that can be handled in-house. However, if you're using an external software provider, you need to ensure that all of this is embedded in the contract. That way, when there's an update, you don't need to go and pay again because it's part of your annual subscription.
Okay, Mr. Cleo, thank you very much. So we'll take about 2 questions and then we bring our session to a close. Okay, so this is from Christine. Since this webinar is targeted at academia, what can we do to fast track the obvious backwardness of the public academia in developing HR technologies? Since this webinar is targeted at academia, what can we do to fast track the obvious backwardness of the public academia in developing HR technologies? Okay.
All right, so Christine, I think probably you might have joined the presentation, my presentation, a bit late. One thing I mentioned was the public institutions must look at developing new programs or programs that will meet the need of the market. Unfortunately, some of our traditional universities are still using notes from 1960 and 1932. I found myself in the university some time ago, and the lecture notes was dated as far back as 1960. So we will need a support of the universities or institutions to build softwares that.
Hello.
Sorry. Yes, sorry. So as I was saying, you need to ensure that, or we need the assistance of the academia to redevelop courses. Remember, it's not as though we are discarding what is already in existence. Remember, academia is giving you the foundation. So we'll still need the foundation. However, it should be tailored now to meet what the markets require. It is not an easy thing to do, especially when you'd have to convince the top management in our institutions on this change. However, it should be gradual. I've realized that the universities in Ghana now are gradually introducing some of these new techs. It will not take a day, it will not take a year, it will not take even 5 years, it will take a long time. However, we need to first take a step in identifying or coming to the realization that we need to change a lot of things. How do we change it? We'll take it in phases. And this is not just for academia, even in the corporate world, for you to introduce a new software, it is always taken in phases. But the first step must be taken to ensure that we move towards the direction of introducing courses that can scale the next generation to fill positions tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cleo. We will take our last question because of time, and then we wrap up. So this last question is from Laya. So what are the Afrocentric software available? Since you are already in the field, can you give pointers? He said Afrocentric software is available. What are some of them?
So I'll go back to what I said earlier. I wouldn't want to mention names of softwares that are out there. It would be me validating these softwares. And again, what works for me within my organization may not necessarily work for you. My organization currently has over 2 million employees across the world. And what we use would definitely be different. So again, to what I said, look within your country. You'll find a lot of software developers that, even startups that are local. And look within your company what you need. Because the legislation within your country differs from mine. Even if it comes to leave, for instance, the leave structure in the Francophone countries differ from the leave structures in the Anglophone countries. So if I take a leave software from Ghana and I want to introduce it to Ivory Coast or even Senegal, it would definitely not work. So you need to look within what you have. What does the law talk about within your country? And then find local software developers. Because remember, if it is local, you cut cost. If it is international, you're looking at thousands of dollars. But if it is local, you cut cost. You have proximity to the developer to troubleshoot as and when you have issues. But if the software company is in another country whose time zone is 12 hours from yours, you realize that you always have that room or that space when there's a problem and when the solution, I mean, a lot more can go bad. So look within your country, look at the legislation, your law, and look for local software developers. And I'm sure your problems should be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you.
To add up to what I think Leo has said everything. So you have to look for good developers and software managers to advise you on which one to take to help you. All right.
Okay, thank you. And this will be unfair if I don't address Dr. Henry's question because it's in the chat box now. And he's from Uganda. So Dr. Henry, we are addressing your question now, and this will be our final question. I want to comment and ask about the social capital onboarding, orientation and induction of human capital, because we are cyber attacked because of laxity, irresponsibility, abuse of protocol, data breach, and don't forget abuse of protocol, data breach, and don't forget software and security wares are created by man and can be hacked and abused by man. I am a financial technologist and deal with very sensitive national and I am a financial technologist and deal with very sensitive national and continental financial data. Okay, so this is from Dr. Henry. Please, should I retake the question again?
Please do.
Okay, I want to.
Please do. It's not really clear to me, so kindly take it.
I want to comment and ask about the social capital onboarding, orientation, and induction of human capital. So I think that is the question. He said he wants to ask about social capital onboarding, orientation, and induction of human capital. If this question is not really clear, I think Dr. Henry, you can send it to me via my email, africanjobsboard@aau.org. We will look at it and address it. Thank you very much, our dear participants. Thank you, Mr. Cleo and Madam Victoria, taking time off your busy schedule. And there was one thing I learned from Madam Victoria's presentation. Before we adopt any technological tool, we should identify the problem it is going to solve. We should plan and so on. I have learned a lot from both presentations. I have learned a lot from both presentations. So before I call my project manager to give us a closing remarks, Mr. Cleo, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I've just been pondering over the question Dr. Henry asked. And if we could go back to a question someone asked about using open access sources, it goes to buttress what I said, that you open yourself up for hacks or cyber attacks if you use these softwares. So again, you would have to ensure that whatever software you're using, right, has been thought through properly. It's you thoroughly go through it, you think about it before you implement it within your organization. Cyber attacks, inevitable. Everybody gets attacked one way or the other. The thing is, do you have stop guards to ensure that when these attacks come, you are able to stop them from potentially destroying your organization or potentially destroying what you do? So yes, there are a lot of hackers out there. They enjoy doing it. Some just for fame. But if you have a software that is not open source, one, you have a software that has been designed for you, okay? And you also have or you have access to troubleshooting or people who are working on the back end to ensure that these attacks are minimized, then you are good to go. But please have it in mind, and I agree with you. Hackers are always out there. They are always ready to pounce on any data or within your systems. So let's ensure that whatever system or software we have, or we are looking at implementing within our organization, be it a school or corporate, is thought through thoroughly, and you should be fine. And you should have someone who is always ensuring that your shields are up and running all the time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cleo. And I see in our chat sections, participants are very happy about the presentation. This is from Okay, thank you very much. And before my project manager comes in to give us a closing remarks, I would like to talk briefly about the African Jobs Board platform. This is a platform where we advertise vacancies in higher educational institutions across the African continent. So if you're an HR manager here, you need a wider platform for your vacancy in your institution, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, African Jobs Board at aau.org. And there are other benefits if you subscribe to our services. So Mr. Frank Asefa, if you can hear me, kindly give us a closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Comfort. Can you please confirm you can hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
All right. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for buying our time to join our webinar today, the 4th edition of the Human Capacity, Enhancing Human Capacity webinars. We would want to, first of all, thank our resource persons, Mr. Cleopas Selim Jisam, sorry if I butchered it a little bit, and Madam Victoria Ousumensa. We're very grateful for your insights and the knowledge you shared with us. I really appreciate the salient points you added with regards to cybersecurity. It was getting a little bit technical, but I think we all appreciate it because of the era we're in with regards to how technology almost controls our lives and how important it is that we also adapt to the technology and then protect ourselves as well. If this is your first time in this at this webinar, we organize these webinars almost quarterly. we bring up on board resource persons who will be able to share valuable insights as you heard today, and we'll be preparing for the next ones coming up. However, we have a survey that we've put in the link in the chat. My colleague Larry Saliu Adams would be posting it in there. It's just a minute and 30 seconds to fill the survey, and would really need it in order to aid us to prepare for the next one, also to aid us with some statistics regarding this. We thank you all for this, and please enjoy your day, and continue to reach out to us whenever you need. And whether you have jobs or you want jobs on the African continent regarding academia, as Comfort mentioned, you can find it on the African Jobs Board platform. Please enjoy your day. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asifwa, and thank you all our dear participants. Thank you, our resource person. Today's webinar has been very informative and insightful. Thank you all, and we hope to connect again in our 5th edition. Thank you all, and bye.
Looking for a job in higher education institution on the African continent? There is no need to go looking. The Africa Education Jobs Board will deliver available jobs to you via our platform. To start your search, visit our website. On our website, you will find variety of job postings classified by the sectors and professions they belong to. There are sections devoted to variety of career-related materials, as well as information on African countries. All information you require based on the job description and requirements are accessible on the site. If you are looking for a job in higher education on the continent, use our dedicated portal www.africa.edujobs.com. For job market updates, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AFJobsBoard.
Cherchez-vous un emploi dans les établissements d'enseignement supérieur en Afrique? Ne cherchez plus loin. African Education Jobs Board vous fournira des emplois disponibles via sa plateforme. Sur notre plateforme, vous trouverez une variété d'offres d'emploi classées par secteur et profession. Des sections sont aussi disponibles pour des informations sur les carrières ainsi que sur les pays africains. Toutes les informations dont vous aurez besoin en fonction des descriptions et d'exigences du poste sont accessibles sur le site. Si vous recherchez un emploi dans l'enseignement supérieur sur le continent, visitez notre portail dédié www.africa.edujobs.com. Pour des mises à jour sur le marché de l'emploi, vous pouvez également nous suivre sur Twitter et Instagram à AFJobsBoard.